Divide and conquer method is a method in which we are given a main problem to be solved. This problem is having a given input size of say n. So you need to subdivide this problem into k subproblems, and then each of these subproblems will be solved individually. Now when you divide these subproblems, the type of the subproblem will be same as that of the original problem. So each of the subproblem will be solved individually, and once all these subproblems are solved, we are going to join or combine together all the solutions in order to get the solution to the original problem. So this subdividing of problem takes place. That is, you are going to generate more subproblems until you can divide the problem. When the problem is small enough to be solved directly, you are no longer going to divide it further. A control abstraction is a procedure whose primary operations are specified by other procedures. That means you are defining in terms of other functions and whose actual meaning is not defined. So you're not telling how exactly the procedures or functions will be working, but you're just telling in general terms. So here is an algorithm for the divide and conquer method for solving a given problem P. So if small p, that means the problem P is small enough to be solved, whose input size is small, then you are going to directly return a solution to the small problem, which is represented as S of P. If not, that means the problem P is having a size which can be subdivided, then we are going to divide the problem P into smaller instances. So we have P1, P2, etc. till Pk, where k is any value that is greater than or equal to 1. Now individually we are going to apply the divide and conquer method to each of these subproblems P1, P2, etc. The same, they are smaller instances of the same problem. So we are going to apply the same algorithm and then solve these subproblems. Once the subproblems are having a solution, we are going to use a suitable method, and that is represented by the procedure name as combine. And so each of the individual solutions are going to be joined together, and the function will return this value, which will be the solution to the main problem. In the general abstraction algorithm that we have already discussed, small p refers to a Boolean valued function. That means it can return either true or false, whether the problem is small or not. If the problem is small, that means the input size is small, then we are directly going to solve it by calling the function S. If the problem is large, then we need to subdivide it into subproblems P1, P2, Pk. Now these subproblems are solved by recursively calling the same algorithm D and C in order to get the solutions to the different subproblems. Here combine is a function which will determine the solution to P, wherein you are going to combine all the solutions of the k subproblems. Here we are going to discuss the time taken to find the solution to the problem P. Suppose we are given a problem P of input size n, and this problem P is having subproblems P1, P2, Pk, where each of these subproblems are having different sizes, say n1, n2, etc. Then the time taken to compute the D and C for the problem P is given by the recurrence relation T of n is equal to g of n. G of n refers to the time taken to obtain a solution where the problem P does not require to be subdivided. If the problem is large, then you need to individually solve the different subproblems. So we have the time taken to solve the problem with size n1, time taken to solve subproblem with size n2 represented as T of n2, until time taken to solve the subproblem of size nk. Plus, we also have additional time required. This time is represented by f of n. This additional time is nothing but the time taken to divide the problem P into subproblems as well as combining the solutions. The time taken to combine all the solutions. So, complexity recurrence relation for the algorithm solved using the divide and conquer is given as T of n is equal to T of 1. That means T of 1 value should be known, which is the time taken to solve the subproblem of input size 1. And when it is more than 1, that is n greater than 1, it is a times T of n by b, where a and b are two different constants and n is always given as a power of b, plus f of n as we have discussed earlier. Binary search algorithm works on an input of n elements which are sorted in ascending order. So let us define this binary search problem. So given a list of n elements which are already arranged in ascending order, that is smallest element to the largest element, we are supposed to find out if a given key element is present in that sorted list or not. If at all the key element is found, we need to return the position where that element was found. If the element was not found, we will return the value 0 to indicate that the element was not found. Here we shall define this problem P as n, where n is the number of elements in the list, a of I plus 1 up till a of L are the different elements from which we are going to determine whether the key element x is found or not. For binary search using divide and conquer technique, P is considered to be small where there is no need for subdividing into subproblems when the list has got only one element. The key element either matches that single element that was present in the list or it is not present. So S of P will return the index of the element where the key was found. In case the element was not found, it will return the value 0. So if small p returns false, that means the size of the problem is more than one element, then it should be divided into subproblems. Now the subdivision is done as follows. You are going to select an index q, which is any value between the index of the first element up till the index of the last element, that is n. Then x is the key element which is compared with the element which is present at the index q in the array A. There are three possibilities. Either x matches with the element in the array that is present at the qth position or qth index, or the key element x will be lesser than the element which is present in the array at index q, or the key element x is larger than the element which was present at the qth index in the array. So if the key element matches with the element in the array at position q, then you're going to get the solution immediately. Suppose x is a value that is less than the element which was present at the qth index. In this case, you need to try searching for the key element in the sublist which starts from ai plus 1 until a of q minus 1 index. So now the problem P reduces to a new value of n, that is q minus I. Number of elements is q minus I. Then the array starts from ai plus 1 until a of q minus 1, and the key element still remains the same, that is x. In the third case, where the key element x is larger than the element that was present at qth index. So in this case, the key element will be searched in the sublist starting from a of q plus 1. That means the element in the array which was at index q plus 1, incrementing onwards until the index L. So now we have a P which is reduced to a new n, that is L minus q. Number of elements is only L minus q. Then the array starts from a of q plus 1 and then it continues until the last element al, and key element x remains same. To the problem. So before discussing with this function, let us see what is a generic function. A generic function in C++ is nothing but a function whose working does not change depending on the type of data. Irrespective of the type of data that you are calling the function with, it works the same. Even binary search, it is an algorithm which will search for a key element in a sorted list of elements. The same way, whether it is an integer array, whether it is a character array or a float array. So let us see how we define this generic data type. So here we are given the generic type name as type. How we are going to give this type? There are two methods, either by using typedef or by using template. So template is the keyword. So you write template in angle bracket type name and the name of the type with which you are going to use it in your function. So here it is type. This you need to keep just below the header files before you are going to use it in your function. So when you are going to call the function binary search, based on the type of array that you are going to pass as argument, that type will take the corresponding data type. If you are going to send an integer array as argument to this function, then type will take place of integer. Similarly, if you have passed a character array, then type will be replaced as character. Let us come to this function. So binary search, small function where you are not going to divide the problem into sub-problems and directly obtain the solution, that is the element found or not found, when there is only one element in your array. The index I, the index of the first element in the array and the index of the last element in the array. When this I and L are equal, then I can say that there is only one element in the array. So we are looking for the condition if L is equal to I. That means you have only one element. So now check whether X is equal to the element at this ith index. So if X is equal to A of I, then return the index, that is return I. We are returning the position where X was found. If the element was not found, we are returning the value 0. Now if I was not equal to L, there is definitely more than one element in the array. So we need to subdivide this problem. So we are going to calculate the mid element in order to choose the index q for dividing the problem. So mid is nothing but low plus high by 2. Here what is our low value? That is the index of the first element, index of the last element divided by 2. Then you are going to check if the key element is equal to the element present at this middle position. If it is present, return that mid position. If not, either you have to search in the array which starts from the first element until mid minus 1. That is when your key element was smaller than the element which was present at the position mid, or you need to search the key element in the list which starts from mid plus 1th position until the end of the array, in the case when the key element x was larger than the element that was present at the mid. So if the key element was smaller than the element that was present at position mid, then we are going to recursively call the function binary search on the same input array A, but the starting index also is same, that is I, only until minus 1th element, and the key element also remains the same. In this case, that is when x is larger than the element that is present at mid position, we are going to search on the same input array A, but for elements starting from mid plus 1th position until the last element, that is L, for the same key element x. This is another way of writing the binary search algorithm, which is the non-recursive or the iterative method. So here we are not going to recursively call the same function once again. We are just going to find out the mid element, check if the key element is equal to the middle element. If it is found, return the position. If not, you start traversing or continuing the search in the left direction, that is the first element until mid minus 1, if in case the key element was lesser than the element at mid position, or else you look for the key element in the array which starts from mid plus 1th position until the end of the array. This is in case if your key element was larger than the middle element. Consider this example of 7 elements. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and a key element is minus 4. We need to search for minus 4. So let us start. Initially our low value is 1, which is the index of the first element, and high value is the index of the last element, that is 7. So first mid is calculated as 1 plus 7 divided by 2, that is 4. Now what is the element at index 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 17 is the element which is present at index 4. So we compare the element x, that is minus 4, with 17. Is minus 4 equal to 17? No. It is lesser than 17. So that means you are going to search for in this direction. That is the same value of low 1, 2 and 3. That is mid minus 1. So we need to calculate low is 1, high is mid minus 1, that is 3. Now calculate the new mid, that is 1 plus 3 divided by 2, that is 2. So now index is 2. What is the element at index 2? We have the element minus 1. Once again compare minus 4 with minus 1. Is minus 4 equal to minus 1? No. Minus 4 is lesser than minus 1. So what you need to do? You need to once again search for list before the mid minus 1. So low value remains the same, that is 1. Then you have mid minus 1, that is 2 minus 1, that is 1. Now calculate new mid. 1 plus 1 divided by 2, that is 1. Now what is the element present at index 1? That is minus 5. Now compare minus 4, the key, with the element minus 5. Still minus 4 is not equal to minus 5. It is smaller than minus 5. Now that means you need to search this side. So your low remains the same, high becomes mid minus 1, that is 1 minus 1 is 0. You remember checking for the condition low less than or equal to high in the iterative function. So now your condition fails. 1 is not less than or equal to high. It has changed. Now high has become less. So you are going to give the inference as element not found. So finally, how many comparisons did we do in order to get the result? We are going to note. That's why we are checking. Similarly, you can try for x is equal to 120 with 120 is present at the last position. So after 3 calculations are made, we find it as the element 120 was found at position 7. For testing the binary search function, we need to try for different values of x. Keep changing the values of x and see how the function responds without changing the input array elements. So for the purpose of testing successful search, that means x should take all the values of all the n elements in the given input array A. So that is n. For testing unsuccessful searches, we should try for x with different values n plus 1 different values. For example, we should try with a value of x which is lesser than the first element, a value which is between first element and second element, like that, or a value which is larger than the last element. So like this we need to change different values of x. So n plus 1 different values to find out for the unsuccessful search. So totally we can say that the complexity of testing this binary search function is n plus 1, that is 2n plus 1 for a given value of n. Let us consider that only one comparison is sufficient in order to determine which of the 3 possibilities of the if condition holds. So let us see how many element comparisons are needed to find each of the 7 elements in our example. We have already seen to find out the element 120 that we need to make 3 comparisons, after which we can declare that the element 120 was found. Similarly, if x was equal to minus 5, then after 3 comparisons we can say that the element minus 5 was found. Similarly, we have calculated for each of these cases. So in the example, for each of the elements that are present in the list that is successfully found, we saw that we did not use more than 3 comparisons, either 3 comparisons or 2 comparisons or 1 comparison, by which we declared that the element was successfully found. So the average number of comparisons to find the 7 elements is by adding all, that is 3 plus 2 plus 3 plus 1 plus 3 plus 2 plus 3 divided by 7, because there are 7 elements, that is 17 by 7, that is 2.4 comparisons for a successful search on an average. Now for the case of unsuccessful search, we know n plus 1 different values of x we should try. So since our n is 7, so 8 different values of x you have to check for an unsuccessful search to terminate. So we find that each of the unsuccessful searches terminate only after 3 comparisons. So if we take a value of x that is less than the first element, that is a of 1, 3 comparisons are needed to determine that it was not present. So the average number of element comparisons for unsuccessful searches, this 3 plus for each of the 7 values with 3 comparisons each. Totally how many elements we are checking? N plus 1, that is 8. So it is 3 comparisons are needed to declare it is not found. Only for that example it may change. Let us derive a formula for the analysis of n elements for the bin search algorithm that we have designed. So we have to consider the sequence of all the mid values by changing the possible values of x. So this can be described by using a binary decision tree wherein each node represents the value of mid. Consider for our example of 7 elements. So we shall construct the binary decision tree. So binary decision tree has a node with the mid values present. And how do we place a left child and right child? If the parent has got a node whose value is smaller than it, then it will be placed as the left child. And if a value is larger than that of the parent, then it is placed as the right child. So let us see how the mid values are calculated. So first we have low value as 1 and high value as 7. So low plus high is 1 plus 7 divided by 2. So mid value is 4. That becomes your root node, the first parent. Then you have the left child. How do you calculate the left child? Low remains same 1. Now high becomes mid minus 1. That is, what is mid? 4. 4 minus 1, that is 3. So now calculate the new mid. The new mid is 1 plus 3 divided by 2. So that is given as the left child. So for the right child, low value is nothing but mid plus 1. What is mid? 4 plus 1. And high value is still 7. So 4 plus 1 is 5. 5 plus 7 is 12. So 5 plus 7 divided by 2, that is 12 divided by 2, that is 6. Similarly, so low value is 1 and high value is mid minus 1, that is 2 minus 1. So now 1 plus 1 divided by 2, that becomes your new mid value. Okay. So like this we shall construct the binary decision tree. Now all successful searches will end at one of the circular nodes and unsuccessful searches will end at the square node. So if the key element X is present, then the algorithm will end at one of the circular nodes. So what is the value that is present in the circular node? The value of the mid. That indicates the position where the key element X was found in the case of a successful search. And suppose X is not present, that means it was an unsuccessful search and the algorithm will end at or terminate at one of the square nodes. So here we are going to use two terms. Circular nodes are called as internal nodes and square nodes are referred to as external nodes. If n is in the range of 2 to the power k minus 1 and 2k, then the binary search function which we have defined will make at the most k element comparisons in the case of a successful search and either k minus 1 or k comparisons for an unsuccessful search. This implies that the time taken for a successful search is in the order of big O of log n and that for an unsuccessful search is theta of log n. The proof of the theorem: the successful search for a key element will always end at a circular node. That is already seen in the binary decision tree taken for our example. Unsuccessful searches will end at a square node. So if 2 to the power of k minus 1 and 2 to the power of k in this range is the value of n, then all circular nodes will be at level 1, 2 up till k, whereas square nodes will be at levels k and k plus 1. Remember that the root is at level 1. So number of element comparison to terminate on a circular node at level I is I itself, whereas number of element comparisons needed to terminate at a square node at level I is only I minus 1. Hence the theorem is proved. Consider the binary decision tree for considering the average behavior of a binary search function. So distance of a node from the root is always 1 less than its level. Internal path length represented as I, which is the sum of distances of all the internal nodes from the root, and external path length E is the sum of the distances of all external nodes from the root. For any binary tree with n internal nodes, we have the relation between E and I through the formula E is equal to I plus 2n. Now we have two representations. For average number of comparisons in a successful search is represented as AS of n, and average number of comparisons in unsuccessful search is represented as AU of n. So number of comparisons we need to find an element represented at an internal node is 1 more than distance of this node from the root. So we have AS of n is equal to the internal path length I divided by n plus 1. The number of comparisons on any path from root to an external node is equal to distance between the root and the external node. So a binary tree with n internal nodes will have n plus 1 external nodes. So AU of n is E divided by n plus 1. We have considered the equation. The external path length is related to the internal path length by the formula E is equal to I plus 2n, which implies I is equal to E minus 2n. Now, average number of successful comparisons is equal to, we have given it as I divided by n plus 1. So what is I? I is E minus 2n. So E minus 2n divided by n plus 1, which is E minus n divided by n. If you solve it further, so you take the common denominator and multiply, you get it as E minus n divided by n. Now what is E in terms of unsuccessful search? So you know AU of n is E divided by n plus 1. So E is nothing but AU of n into n plus 1 minus n divided by n, which implies the average number of successful search comparisons is 1 plus 1 divided by n into AU of n minus 1. From the theorem, we know that the external path length E is proportional to n log n. So we can say that AS of n and AU of n, that is the number of comparisons in the case of average number of comparisons in case of successful and unsuccessful search are also proportional to log n. So the average and best comparisons for binary search are almost the same. In case of successful search, the best case is when you have number of comparisons as 1, that is with one comparison you find the element found. So for an unsuccessful search, the theorem says that there are log n element comparisons in the best case. So here is the summary of the complexity of the binary search algorithm for both successful as well as unsuccessful cases, best case, average case and worst case. Only in the best case for a successful search we find it is theta of 1, whereas rest all are in the order of theta of log n.